Don't get tired on the first day. We go with the first panel, Gender Equity in Digital Transformation. I want to bring Alejandra and Carla, that they're there. And I have my dear Micaela online. How are you, Juana? Yeah. Okay. Thank you for being here. It's a very intense day. I'm sorry for the time. It's a very interesting topic, and there are a lot of questions, so there are a lot of questions that need to be answered. We had a lot of interesting topics to talk about. We have to present, first of all, Micaela.
She was my boss, former Secretary of Public Innovation when I was Undersecretary. She had the good or bad idea to be with her, and it meant a lot. And for my professional career as well, I really appreciate that, taking me into consideration. Alejandra Martinez Campos, PR Manager for CompuTrabajo, Carla Navarro, General Director of Haas Communications, and Magdalena Horta Acosta, Commercial Director of Unwise Mexico. Welcome all. You've been all day long with me. I really appreciate it. Is not always common for panelists and for the experts to stay with us. And for us, it is always very interesting to stay with us, because then they understand the essence of the school and they can participate even more with more information. They can work even more. And now I would like to give the floor to Micaela. I know she has to go and pick up her daughter. It is late. It is 3 hours later in Argentina. Micaela, I would like you to please tell us what is Generas and your experience, your very interesting experience in technologies. She's very young and she's very active in her career, and she has always looked for female roles in key places, specifically in relationship to technology. And what difficulties you find trying to look for women, and which is the gender role in the promotion of this? I remember one thing when you were the undersecretary, to promote your interaction with technology companies. At least in the state of Argentina, is not something we see nicely. Sometimes people are afraid of this because of the different interests, the state interest and entrepreneurial interest. And she has always promoted this dialogue. Tell us your experience and what you are doing now, and welcome to this panel. Can you hear? Thanks for this invitation to participate in this very relevant, powerful panel in the framework of this school with a very deep history and with lots of value to do knowledge networking and leaders in the framework in this very relevant topic, which is internet. And I am very happy to be in this panel, and based on Olga's proposal as part of this discussion and in this first day panel of this school, I would like to start with the beginning about this generation of spaces, networking for and with women, the universe of technologies, which has been the difficulty when consolidating equipment teams that are led by women, so that we can have more visibility and greater participation. It is a multi-dimensional challenge, and in terms of we have diverse dimensions in different times. But if we were to make a short explanation, description, we can go from a very general and speak about the needs to have strategies to do networking and visibilization of women, and we should also have more opportunities. The biggest opportunity also is the reason why we can work in our capabilities to make teams, diverse teams, and the value of generation of teams represented by men and women is speaking about economic value, networking value, and the creation of better teams. And I believe another challenge that we have ahead of us is related to the need to be more open in the different works in technology and the role of the leadership of male and female leaders to to consolidate teams that will necessarily be diverse, complement each other, and if they are dynamic, it is going to be much more effective. I also believe that an important condition is the context where they implement projects, because there are topics such as policies of caring for others, licenses or leaves. This is so very good impact when offering continuity and balance from the conditions of participation and possibilities for both men and women, and it is important to bring it to have it in mind. And speaking about the main challenges and the relevance of policies related to children and childhood, it has been documented that in fact the first gaps and biases in the relationship between girls and technologies and maths is something we see from 6 to 5 years of age, when it is not an area of interest, and this is something we need to review in the educational policies of childhood, because there is a relationship between what girls want to study and what we will be doing. It is a multidimensional aspect, very relevant and very symptomatic. And speaking what we've been doing with Genera, and I will be part of it. The reality is that we are doing work. We were able to do some public administration work with lots of positive interactions between the public and the private sectors and the different entities of the civil society. And for 5 years, we've been able to have a discussion, visibilization, and the education and the shaping of women in different settings, digital services, telecommunications, and this gave us the possibility to consolidate all this work and networks that will be working with the team in Tech in Argentina, and they will have consulting and effective development of digital solutions with teams that are created by women. And based on this, I will be making reference to some of the most recent activities that we've been developing. It has to do with an intersection between the political discussion and what we can do in the civil society, together with the legislative bills in the Congress of Argentina with respect to the implementation of AI and generative AI, and what is the role in order to reduce the gaps and to not allow it to grow. And then the universe of the AI, generative AI, it is in the mouth of lots of people. And this is something we see in synchrony, and it is a challenge, a multidiscipline challenge. But in the frame of what is artificial intelligence, participation of women is even less. If the global average of women's participation was a specific percentage in different technological verticals in AI, it is around 25 to 27. There is very relevant information, so we will have the vision and we will be making a deeper analysis. Digital literacy, and it is reduced participation of women by 22%. What is the information that is available in the generative solutions? How, how this is defined for women and the negative impact and what we see in internet to have a relationship a participation of women across the region, because artificial intelligence, it explains the little participation and involvement of women across the region. Uruguay with the highest percentage of participation, around 25%. And the challenge, a multidimensional challenge, and it is fundamental to have this discussion and these debates. Interesting what we do with artificial intelligence. I was invited by UNAM to teach a class. As I said, intelligence is not artificial intelligence. It is a lot of information with great processing capacity. We will not be present if we are not really present. Artificial intelligence, so we have a bias because we have less visibility in data, and data is something that nourishes all the activities. So this is something that we need to have in mind. Thanks, Michael. I hope you can stay with us, but if you need to go and pick up Juana, yes, we get it, and thanks for participating. Alejandra, she was declared one of the 50 marketing women because of her experience for technology. And I have done some research of your resume. From your marketing experience, what is your key to bring more women to the world of technology and the digital transformation, and to retain them? This is a more serious problem. And because of the family, taking care of others, so we retain them, and how to retain them in a technological setting. The reality is that I want to take an important point, something that Micaela shared. To me, the society in general would need to work in 3 specific fronts in order to make this technological aspect possible and to have a healthy living together, not only in labor terms but in life in general, because if we think how we live together every day with all these technological resources available to us, we will see that we do not see this, and we're so used to be together with this type of resources that sometimes we don't even look at it. And in general terms, in work, the same happens, which are the 3 fronts I'm speaking about. First of all, Micaela, she spoke about a very important point, the educational aspect. Today, it is very important to work in this relearning by the new generations in the labor market from the educational entities. These study plans that we have available in regions like ours, in Latin American regions, so that the new generations are educated and shaped by the needs of the labor market. Secondly, speaking about attraction of talent, what Micaela says is true. The percentage of the International Labor Organization, and it matches what UNESCO says in more developed countries, like in the first world, the United States, from 25 up to 30% of women represent the labor force in the technological setting. And if we think and if we observe which are the actual needs of the labor market, we will see that The most demanded positions today have to do with technology, development of systems, commercial intelligence, data engineering, all this related to technological resources that will help digitalize many processes in the companies. This is all part of those priority activities that the labor market is asking for today. And with that labor market available only in the states and that is more developed than us, 25 or 30% of the occupancy belongs to women and the rest is in the hands of men. What does it mean? We need to bet from our front line women. We need to be professionally recycled. We need to learn and learn as many times as necessary, and to do it in education, the education we get in the school, and then how to attract talent, where companies will actually be able to eliminate all these biases and open these new opportunities, not only for the male sector, because it is the one that traditionally is in these positions, but also for women. And this is something in the more specialized aspect. For example, if we make a super deep analysis of what is happening in organizations, we will also see that digitalization is present in every area. What do we see in the International Labor Organization that has caused lots of controversy? It is pretty controversial. In 2030, many positions will disappear because of digitalization of processes, and then those that will become 69 million opportunities of new jobs in 2030 for you to be in those positions, and it will have to do with technology. What does it mean? Men, women, and the labor market in general will have 69 million possibilities to have a place in this stage of digitalization of processes, in this digital transformation stage. If you observe what happens in the companies, you will see that regardless of these specialized areas, in each of the areas we see in a company, we see that digitalization. We see this with Pantape Computrabajo. We are the number one Latin American HR agency, the second most important one. And we also have talent attraction. Today we use AI, and an AI that would allow the professional of human resources to be professional, to evolve, to take a step ahead. And what would happen? And this is just an example for you to analyze what happens. What will happen to a recruiter? What happened in the past? Most of the time was to do operational activities. When recruiting, this was the work of recruiters, and there. You receive 150 candidates, and in a recruiter in average is going to be managing from 5 to 10 vacant positions at the same time. It is 1,500 resumes that he had to review manually, but today with AI the person can make an automatic filter so that that person can do the strategic aspect, the one he or she was not able to implement in the past, because the person had to pay attention to the mechanical aspect. So there is an actual and palpable evolution for professionals. Professions through the use of this technology will have the opportunity to do the deeper expertise, the position. What happens to professionals in human resources? They will have the time to sit and to know the person in more detail, the person that is going to be working for that company, a person who doesn't only have technical skills but also to have this capacity to get adapted to the organizational culture that is happening in the company, and this evidently is going to have a positive impact in profitability, because this is the reason why this contract is going to be the beginning of a long-lasting relationship. We can have many examples in marketing, for example, where we have the growth department, and through digitalized campaigns we can have results in the profitability behind each action. Each area in a company will have an opportunity. It can evolve professionally in human terms. And as you said, Olga, one of the basic principles we need to have and remember at this point in time is that at this moment we are facing today, the human aspect is very necessary, and it is the one contributing more. And I go back to artificial intelligence. If a human resource professional doesn't prepare a process with this from beginning to end, AI will know it by itself, and results can be catastrophic. The value that we get from the human side is precisely this, the strategic aspect, and the reason why we can understand all those parts and that have to do with the human aspect, and working all for a company, a cause that will become a collective cause, but it is also a cause where we will all be working towards the same place. Digitalization is not something that started today, it started yesterday, and it will be here tomorrow. If we think in terms of all the technological revolutions we've seen, we will see that this is cyclic. It happens once and again. The only thing that we need to clearly remember is that we need to have this capacity, and as Lina said, to relearn, to be resilient, to get adapted to change, and to recycle as many times as necessary. And then thirdly, training. We need to be capable in each area to establish this awareness system, so that each part understands that those who are not willing to be professionally recycled in the short term, that person is going to be obsolete in labor terms. Now I have a question speaking about human resources. We are building all these spaces where AI helps us. And there was a bias in the selection of human resources. And here we have a staff recruited with the bias, and then marketing with the same bias. My impression is that if the professional doesn't have this capacity to discern and to bring the human side to all the information, artificial intelligence, we could dream and go towards something dangerous. And this is, and I recognize I am an optimistic, an eternal optimist of technology, and I believe younger people can also follow this dream that is not true. Without checking information, people will not be able to check, to verify information, and will be working with very biased data sets. So we need to see artificial intelligence, and at least in the case of my students, I try to teach them this. We need to today we need to everything is available, so the intelligence is to be able to tell what is the correct source of information, compare sources, and then come to conclusions. And it is not something trivial. We need to think about it. And thanks for your comment. I will now go with Carla. You're an expert in marketing and communications. What is the word we need to convey to bring women and retain them in IT companies? What do we need to tell them in the marketing? What is the message for companies to keep it in mind? Because it is valuable to have well-skilled women in our staff Why? What would be the argument? I have many arguments, but I know you have more than me. Why is it important to have to take this diverse look from marketing to have communications to bring women and to bring male and female values? Olga, first of all, thanks for the invitation and for collaborating with you and with these women and with the general audience. And I also would like to thank this venue for hosting us. We've been speaking a lot about the technological and technical aspect of digital things, but we are forgetting about the soft skills. My message to companies to retain talent and for women who are looking for a job in the world of technology, which is where we find a big fight, where we fight. First of all, my recommendation is to recognize your talent. We need to recognize my talent, because if we can recognize our talent, we can face the world and we can have self knowledge. This is my skill. This is my capacity. This is what I can do. This is what I cannot do. But what matters the most is to see how to live together, with different generations. And we need to also pay attention to gender, because technology has nothing to do with gender. Technology is a matter of talent. How many very talented women with engineer and mathematical minds working in cables and cords, and what is technologically sustaining the digital aspect. But we also have all this aspect of what are you going to communicate, what are you going to say, because technology is only one tool, but you also have something to communicate, you have something to tell. So as soon as you can recognize your talent, you may not be above others, because you will be I prefer not equality, I prefer complementing each other, because if you get complemented by others, if you complement, there is equity. By doing this, there is no friction, there is no competence, and by complementing yourself, you can collaborate with others with telling them that someone is better than others. How can we potentialize what we are, what we know, and what we do? So from this place, communications become a very important tool in order to work with technology, because at the end of the day, technology is a communication means. So you can use this in order to say what you ought to say, what you want to say, and it is more or less a matter of saying how it is that women can come to this world. My case is very specific, very particular. I come from the conventional generation, and the conventional generation reach a limit, and then we said I have to scale up, and then you have to open to the technology and digital world. And this is what I did in my entrepreneurship. I said I've been a producer of events, I've been doing this for many years, and then the industry died during the pandemic, and then you said where to go to, and then you start to discover the digital world, but from different places, not from the hard skill, but from the soft skill, to understand how does it work, things that need to happen so that information comes up and down, and then the person is going to be there, but you're going to be in this front line, and you're going to be working with the image, with the words, you're going to be working with colors, you're going to be working with all these tools that will help you attract your audience and your target. And I believe this is something that women can do something with, and this is why it is so important to have this balance. team with men and with women, and men can also contribute with lots of soft skills, but women are naturally designed to touch this more vulnerable part that would allow us to reach those we want to reach. So yes, it is great to have a brilliant mind as a man or as a woman speaking about technology and engineering, but it is also great to have all these brilliant minds that can communicate what they need to communicate, and using this huge monster, as Alice said, it came to stay. So we embark the train or we're gonna die. We need to involve, and yes, we are afraid. We get lots of information about the jobs, the conventional jobs that will disappear, but there is going to be a huge number of jobs that have to do with technology, and I believe are perfectly ready in order to join. And here we have lots of women who are interested in this technological world in order to contribute from their front lines and to recognize your talent. We need to recognize your talent, my talent. This is going to be the message that I will be using. This is what I would say about complementing each other, genders complementing each other. Yes, recognizing your talent. This is interesting. And do you think companies recognize the value of diversity according to your experience? Or do you, what happens is that it is not easy. In my experience, it's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of work, yes, because the world of the labor world was first a world of men and women. Women were escalating, and now we have conquest. We have conquered many places, moments, spaces. But at the end of the day, I believe it is in us to not crush, because we will not all be in the same place because we're complaining about being macho, but we could be extreme feminists that face machism. So we need to be certain of where we are, who we are, and to bring it to the table and to say, I can do the same things as men do after many years of experience. But as a mother, you also learn lots of things. I am the mother of two boys, and you will not let me lie. You learn a lot. And this is precisely where you need to be in a good position to tell the company, this is what you do, this is who you are. It can be an SME or it could be a triple A corporate with whom I have had wonderful experiences. But if you do not believe in yourself, no one is going to believe in you. And if you do not believe in yourself, so first of all, you need to recognize your talent, and by doing it, you will project it, and then companies will trust you. They will take what you are projecting. Something interesting you said about artificial intelligence. I agree that it is not the big problem of some work disappearing. What I do believe and what I am afraid of is the impact in communications, the impact in the minds of people, those who cannot tell what is true, what is not true, what is fake, what is not fake. And this is what I am afraid of, and I do not know how this could happen. I do not think how this could get regulated, and there is also a very thin line between freedom of speech and the regulation of all this. We need to be careful. So I believe with you, it is not the labor aspect. What I am worried about is artificial intelligence. Magdalena, an important position, a commercial director of your company, doing market research, online market research, and based on your experience, which are the variables that you have seen in your research in order to promote and to retain employees in their positions, and what have you been able to do in relationship to the topics we are presenting today? Well, first, I would like to thank you all for waiting to this panel, because we will be closing things, for being here with you, with great women, great talent, and it is beautiful to be in this beautiful campus. Thanks to all of you. And to answer the question you're asking me, I would like to share my experience from the personal perspective. Magda Horta, I believe I've been pretty lucky. I've been surrounded by very talented people, both men and women. Most of them, it is my male bosses, and they have helped me. They have helped me trust in myself, believe in what is possible. Today, I have the opportunity to work for a wonderful company, because it has a very talented team. It has a team where heads are want to have this equity and to be able to have this environment with a very important sensitivity to know in each role and in each process how those soft skills should be placed. Those people that will bring the specific touch in each process, in each moment we generate insights, and we contribute to our clients, to the brand names, diversity of elements for the decision making process. And as we said at the office when I was invited to be here, we discovered that there are business units that have to do with this dynamic of technology, where we know that all this should be built and all this should be more directed to men. There are two departments or units which are very, very specific, and to tell that men are the ones who master those activities. But we have also seen that if we bring women, we can also make the difference. We discover how this fine texture needed in order to bring that touch requested by our clients, very fine, and this is to generate an insight, and this is where we see how important it is to get involved with our work teams, to know them, to make them sensitive, what each process, what they need, so that we can bring this specific touch. And it is a dynamic that is not only a matter of roles, but it is also the gender and the dynamic of inclusion. And speaking about internet, I was asking myself, I was wondering, what do we do today in order to make this change possible? What are we doing in order to generate this inclusion? Because it is not only a matter of speaking about gender. Without inclusion, there is no change. There is no change. And I would like to say that in my thought, in my thinking process, women do not only need to have more women in more places or in more positions. We need the voice of women. We want them to go and participate in the very powerful decision-making process. What we see in the decision-making process is in creations and in the diversity we find internationally at every level when it is possible to take, according to my experience in many moments that I have seen, in many moments that I see in the decision-making process. It is not easy to see women participating in those decision-making processes. So I do believe that regardless of how, as human beings and as people, we need the possibility to convey to new generations. We need to convey them this sensitivity, gender sensitivity, and the inclusion, because it is not only a matter of men and women, but also diversity that has to permeate for the common good of everyone. We should take the same, embark the same train. If not, I do not know where we will go to, but this is my contribution. The journey is a destiny. I've been speaking about this for 20 years. I believe we have all attained things. We need to always have a dream to take some intermediate steps and to improve the situation. But as I have said, I believe we, in some aspects, we're going back. We're staying behind after years of fight. I hope it doesn't persist, and I hope we can keep the rights that women. 10 minutes for comments or questions. I believe you are all staying. I thought you were going to run away, but because you're tired, because we have had a long day. Comments? Virtual. Because we have a virtual entrance as well, and I just look at the in-person attendees, and sometimes I forget about them. Gabi Salazar, thanks for your contributions. And I have one thought, and I do not know if you want to contribute, but I do believe that as women we do not. It is not enough to say I believe in myself and it is my skills, because many of us know it, but we have the well-known crystal ceiling. And to me, one of the most important things is this type of interaction where we have spaces to think and to have deconstruction and to speak about this gender roles, where as women, beyond believing in ourselves, and because men should also have this clarity. In fact, human resource department, so you remember the scandal in AI in Amazon. It was a sexist AI in Amazon because there was a bias with the information used to feed the tool. It was information from the selection to fill vacant positions, and there was preference given to males. So I just wanted to think in terms of how we feed the LLMs and how these tools get trained, and how culturally how we perceive that both well-educated men or women can perform the same activity, and they will have the right to make the same, to have the same opportunities. And as Lina said, and I believe this quality of resilience is very important. This is something that has been so difficult for all of us. We develop it a lot, and this is why we need to make it. And I do not know if you want to give your opinion on this. I would ask each one of you to make comments about your comment and to make one final 1 minute thought. And this is how we will adjourn the day. Micaela. After listening to the attendees, the reality is that more complex, more radical, and I believe it is very important to see what is the articulation between the public and the private sectors and the civil society. This is the base for the debate, as well as maintenance of rights. And as Olga said, it seems that it will be a discussion, the global agenda, that will not take into consideration the debates and the dialogue instances. And retaking what other colleagues have said, two more things that bring more questions and answers, and this is the aim of these exchanges. The impact on work, on jobs, what you have said, the four of you, what you have said, and the reality is how the debate of how this is going to get modified. We have the 2035 phase where not only adaptations are going to be needed or training. There's research in the United States and the United Kingdom that consider the possibility of homogenization in job positions, and it will be AI, generative AI work, and the critical thinking. We need to think about all these aspects, and women and in men All this will have an impact as well in the information we consume, critical ways of working with these solutions, how we're going to be addressing the different themes, and I believe it is very interesting information recently published related to an experiment made about the ready social media, and profiles were created and using artificial intelligence with some specificities information and very humanized profiles with direct incidents in the discussions, and basically there was a big influence with respect to those who participated in the discussions in those platforms. And this is why the debate speaking about democratic participation and citizenship, everything is more complex and everything complements each other, as we've seen here. Alejandra, thanks so much. Well, what I would like to say is what I just said. When we delegate the responsibility to a technological instrument, we take the risk of not having the expected result, as you said it in the example. In these recruitment processes, this well known brand. The reality is that today this type of technology works through one word, that you properly used training, coaching, what the training you give to that platform to make it work. It is not a bias that has been provoked by AI, but by the person who designed the profile and gave the direction to the technological resource to have this filter where preference is given to the male aspect, the reality, and something that Olga clearly stated today about her concern. If we do not use in a responsible way all these technological resources, and if we do not do it from being conscious, evidently we will not be able to do what we're expecting to do. At this point in time, today, effectiveness of this type of resource will 100% depend on the use we give. And what you said, it helps you to simplify processes, but what about verification? It is saving some time and effort. This information that is going to be automatically generated, and then what do you have to do? You should never stop doing this. You have to think, you have to use your rationale, what is going to be the effective strategy, so that you can build a functional world for those people who make things happen and to work as human beings. So this is going to be my final reflection. Carla, and to answer and to contribute to your comment, evidently we would like to have a magic wand and things to happen immediately, but a change will always imply a process. And a clear fact is that we're all sitting here and we have been working hard, and we have brought our sword to pave a way, the journey for the next generations. We might not see it, but we are doing something. We are not standing still. Maybe generations, current generations, and our ex generation is not willing to change. What about other generations? As I told you, I am the mother to 2 kids, and it is difficult for me to understand that my work as a mother is for my daughters-in-law, not for me. So we're working for the generations to come, and if we do not plant the seed and then fertilize it, nothing is going to happen. But if we do it as we do it now, something needs to happen. This is a big responsibility to be the one closing this event. My biggest thought is a contribution as a society, what we need to do, and this sensitivity as human beings that we need to always have in our mind, as Carla said, and as others have said. This maybe we might not even see those things, but I think we need to take the digitalization aspect and the awareness of the digital world in the most assertive way to properly contribute to our day to day for us as human beings, for the next generations, to be able to contribute to usability laws in order to work with children, for example, for the assertive use and for the connection that is always needed. And we should never live beside, forget that this is all for our own good. Oh, it is the opposite. We need to all contribute from our front line so that we can make our best contribution and for humankind to be as beautiful as it is, because we are here to enjoy, to be happy. So let's enjoy it. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to all of you. Thanks, Micaela. We salute Argentina, all the interns. Thanks for being so patient. Thanks to our panelists. Excellent. And at what time are we starting tomorrow? Adrian, 9:30.